Yo, what's up my fellow Dragodons? Dreadclaw here, and today I'm going to be finally talking about my experience with the Elden Ring Nightreign closed network test. Man, that was quite a mouthful. Apologies for the delay, as there's been some things going on in real life, and I had to pry myself away from Monster Hunter Wilds to make this video. And once again, I'd like to thank Bandai Namco for giving me access to the closed network test. I wasn't sure what to expect, as I have never really played any multiplayer modes in FromSoftware games. And at first, when it was revealed at the Game Awards, I thought it was DLC, until looking into it as a standalone title. It's up there with the new Onimusha and Neokami sequel at the Game Awards last year, in terms of the big surprise announcement that wasn't insert generic shooter or open world here. Anyway, now what is Nightreign exactly, you may ask? Well, it is as it's labeled, as it's like if Elden Ring was a full-on co-op roguelike, and I had a lot of fun with it, a lot more than I thought I would. At first, when the news came out it was a roguelike, I gave it a pass just because I've been a bit fatigued nowadays, when most of the time it feels like that we just get something in the form of a roguelike. It just seems like that, especially in the indie game space or something. Well, you get what I mean, especially with PlayStation lately, where it's like, The Last of Us had a roguelike mode, God of War, Ragnarok had a roguelike mode, everything somehow has a roguelike attached to it. So, that's just my personal thing where it's like I almost gave this game a pass. But it is FromSoftware. If they can make an open world game actually interesting, not the typical formula we come to expect from open world games, how can they pull off a roguelike or an online multiplayer game? Well, the game is a roguelike. Even though it's a roguelike, it's still at its core a soulslike. And trust me, the co-op doesn't make it any easier. I could barely get past day one. But it does solo for those who don't want to do the co-op, which I don't want anyone to do that since that's what it's built around the game, but solo is even harder. Now, for the majority of the network test, I played as the Guardian because his playstyle looked more interesting and suited my playstyle. Though, Duchess looked like a lot of fun if you were looking for a more speedy character. Wilder, well, he's a basic looking character. Let's be real. His playstyle has this secure-like vibe to it. It's more complicated characters, definitely recluse. But once you understand her gameplay style, she can be a ton of fun to use. And that goes into the next topic of what makes this game fun and different from regular Elden Ring. Well, number one, there being no fall damage. Yes, all of you that don't like the fall damage, it's gone in this, and only this. 2, leveling up in Nightreign feels more streamlined. In this, it's no longer leveling up one at a time. Now when you go to level up at a grace with a specific amount of runes, it levels up all the categories. This was probably a design choice since you're always on the run, and selecting each category one at a time would just ruin the pacing of the run. Free. Each character / class has a set of unique moves. It's definitely one of those games where you need to try out a character and experiment to see if they suit your playstyle. 4, they add a new sprint mechanic. You can use the normal sprint like you can normally use in any Souls game, or with the press of L3 or the left analog stick, you can run a bit faster, which can be pretty useful against bosses, or if you're in a sticky situation. It can be quite the impressive mechanic. As well for especially bosses that can use AoE attacks. 5. There are 3 days in each run. It's more structured like Monster Hunter. When in the hub, you select the boss you fight on the 3rd day. While the first 2 days you will be grinding to level up and get better gear in preparation for the main boss that awaits you on the 3rd day. Now, on for some of my concerns, at least from my experience with the closed network tests. One of them being was the lack of crossplay, but I think the bigger concern is the actual online. The first section for the network test was a disaster, and keep in mind this was 6 in the morning. I could have went to bed, but I stayed up because for some reason I thought it would be fun, but no, it was a disaster. It was so bad FromSoftware had to actually restart the servers. There was also on occasion, people would randomly disconnect, and if they did, you were either stuck with 2 players, or you had to do the run on your own. Now I'm sure the online will be better at launch, but still I wanted to address this concern. The other thing being, there's no voice chat, or even a text chat. This is something that's going to make it a bit more frustrating doing runs with randoms, but of course, you know, if you are going to play this game with your friend, you always have Discord. But speaking for like the people that don't use Discord, you know, your average Joe, this is kind of an odd design choice, but hey, you know, there is a ping system, so I'm sure some people will probably use it, right? Right? Hopefully. But last issue, of course, and we're talking about online game in 2025. There's no invite system. It has this password system that makes it a bit easier, but I would personally prefer a more simple invite system, so I can bring and invite my friends, so you don't have to go for the hassle of like put in these specific passwords. It sounds so odd. It's weird. But hey, it is FromSoftware's first like true online multiplayer experience, so it's one of those things I'll cut some slack. But yeah, that is my thoughts on Elden Ring Nightreign, a game like Crash Team Rumble that feels unique, as I'm sure we're going to get content updates to keep things feel fresh. And when I mean unique, I mean in the sense where like, okay, it's a roguelike, but there's some aspects of it that feel very different from what you would expect when it comes to a multiplayer game. And for once, a multiplayer game that's, you know, not the typical shooter. We're finally getting something different that stands out from the crowd. As well, it has, when it comes to the roster and stuff, we have a pretty decent amount of variety at the startup for me to want to get it at launch. Only downside is the lack of crossplay, when it feels like a mandatory thing for an online multiplayer game these days. But this is FromSoftware's, once again, their first multiplayer-only experience. It's probably a small passion project, so it doesn't seem like that's a big deal. And one last thing I want to say for the people, the majority of the online people, because it's always full of idiots sometimes. So, I do feel it is like an asset flip kind of game. But hey, so is Call of Duty, insert shooter here, sports game, and Pokemon. But you know, people still buy those, right? Right? At the very least, FromSoftware is using assets from some of their previous titles in a creative way. A fun, solid co-op action roguelike. Instead of being the lazy developer like Game Freak who makes up some idiotic excuse. We're just, we're reusing this and we're cutting some of the Pokemon in order to make better graphics. Yeah, bro, no. 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 But, yeah, From Software, if you're watching this, only thing I would want, please, give us some Bloodborne content. I know that's probably like a high requested thing for this, especially since we're getting stuff from Dark Souls 3 and probably Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2, but I would love some Bloodborne content in this game. Whether it be a boss, or even some maybe like weapons, something, because there's going to be cosmetics and stuff for your character, because I feel like that's definitely going to be a guaranteed thing as well to make things a bit more fresh. The customization, you never know, it could be stuff like that. I'd be down for it. But yeah, guys, let me know in the comment section below if you played out, if you tried the closed network test. What do you think of it? Did you have fun? Is it something you're gonna wait to get, or what'd you think? But anyway, guys, I will see y'all in the next video. Make sure to leave a like, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. I will see y'all later. Peace.